Okay, welcome to your reading. Let's see what's coming through. What you need to know for your highest good when you click on this video. Again, this is timeless, so it could be a year from now that just finds you. So just allow whatever comes through to move through you, and then you can tune in yourself as to what truly resonates with you and what does not. Just gonna shuffle 2 more times. I'm hearing be true to you. Which is not always easy depending what environments you're moving in that like expect or want a diluted version of you. Very closely tied to the most recent Patreon readings. So that's a wider collective energy. I do see the reason or why you did experience a lot of that, or that could even, I'm hearing this be very familiar, that you're not even consciously aware anymore where you do dilute yourself, because it's become so normal that most people apparently, or most environments, just can't really, accept or even encourage you at your full voltage. So as a contrast, when you then are around people, or you get pushed into an environment, or you manifest or attract an environment where you're actually suddenly being encouraged and you're being celebrated and you're being loved for exactly who you are, before the dilution happened, that can also speak of conditioning. If you get conditioned, whether it's from society, from your family, from the media, from different systems that are in place, whether it's medicine systems, entertainment, it's there's a lot going on, as you must know. So that's when we speak of conditioning. And conditioning is when you have programs installed that are running, whether you're consciously aware of it or not, that ultimately shape the way you think, the way you move, the way you treat yourself, and in this case specifically, where you dim yourself, you dim who you are at the core for other people's comfort. So of course, if that's something you've done or you do for years on end, that becomes normal, to the point where you may not even be fully aware or fully know anymore who you are at the core. So that is a part of what we call the work, is actually peeling away those layers so that your true signal becomes louder. Because a lot of people don't know who they are, and you're even going out and getting advice from them. They have big platforms. Or, it doesn't, the way the system is built up, it will also push certain people to the forefront that can actually keep you from awakening. And that's why seers and true oracles have a very important purpose here. Because not everyone is built to cut through illusions. So that's when you start hearing more often than not, that it's not all what it seems, not even all as what it looks like. And when you get glimpses of it, you become somewhat dangerous. That's when it can even amplify the sense of having to contain you and make sure that you, whether it's doubting yourself or not, become too loud or too comfortable in your own skin, because you start wrestling these systems that depend on you doubting yourself and feeling small and like you have nothing of value to share, you know, like and the funniest bit, and I've experienced this, I've seen this myself, like circles are very much like fuck the system and they have it fucking written on the doors and shit. But when push comes to shove, they're the most obedient sheep. They have absolutely no backbone. They absolutely have nothing running that actually makes them set themselves part of the system. They're just in their own illusions. They think they're not realizing that they're just as much a cog in the wheel of the system. But yeah, this is just more, again, this already came through in Patreon a bit more in depth, but it seems to be similar current of really starting to recognize how many people, or how even full-on structures, they just hide behind names, labels, which ultimately is just a performance. And that's where you come into play, because you, I'm talking to, you seem to have abilities where you see beyond delusions, you see beyond the veil. But even you could get caught up in currents or in people's glamour spells and magic, where you feed more into who they are portraying themselves to be than who they truly are at the core. But if you have natural psychic abilities and you truly have them, not just you think you do, but you actually are tapped in that way, you will have a lifelong of patterns of you being the one that can spot a fake ass person out of 100 lined up. You'll be the one that sees truth that others may catch up on or will never catch up on. You will feel, it will be allergic to people performing what they think they are and not actually embodying the truth. In other words, you will thrive in environments where people show up authentically themselves, just real, you know, genuine, real, just who they are. But this is as well where the conditioning is just such a thick layer, where people think, oh, this is who I am, but they actually have these programs running and they actually actively feed into the system. That's why the example come up with like people that act like, whoa, we're against the system, fuck the system, but they're actually the spinning wheel. There also you'll see a lot of mimicry, you know, just people copying some archetype or thinking, oh, this is what someone is against the system has to look like, talk like, and then they just adapt it, but they don't truly embody it. And this with fuck the system, this is just one example. Of course you will have many different ways this plays out in many different environments. It's just basically coming down to recognizing who's real and who's faking it. It's just another way of describing the energy that I'm picking up on. But again, it's not always easy, because there will be currents and there will be peer pressure and there will be a lot of truth speakers, truth seers who stand as a single. And that is as well where some of you get caught up and start doubting your own, whether it's your intuition, whether it's your gut feeling, whether it's your abilities of seeing things before others catch up onto it, because this is a spiritual ability. When you see beyond the veil, that is an ability that not everyone has. So yeah, just from the cards I'm seeing a bit of confusion. That's probably why this was the whole last thing, because I'm just seeing someone, or I guess part of the reading is that I'm talking to, I guess a few who are feeling caught up between two worlds there, where you actually do see the games, you see the performances, you see who's posturing and faking shit, and where there's a genuine current running where it's just authentic, it's real, it may be a little bit messy, it may be imperfect, but again I'll keep hearing a sense of like showing up as you are, come as you are, which is one of the best songs, in my opinion. It's Nirvana. But whoever this is for, you will flock. You will naturally go there. The thing is, you may just not have had a lot of opportunities. That's why I got the sense of being singled out, because you could be environments where you don't have a lot of kin around you don't have a lot that are structured the way that you are, so it can be challenging to stay true to yourself and not slip into other people's currents, or you may even get sucked into their dynamics and microcosms. And that's as well where there's then structures in place of controlling you, diluting you, having you under their thumb. Is because they sure as hell can't meet you where you're at. You may not have a lot to choose from, like you may have been somewhat isolated, where you just don't have mirrors that show you the way you are is perfectly fine and even valuable in itself, because how many people are faking shit nowadays? So when someone appears, and you may have old school values, you may have an old school way of thinking, you may be have these strong values and morals in place as to what is right, what is wrong, what you tolerate and what you do not. And if you constantly have people that can't match you on that level, that's where you can start wobbling. Because if there's structures already in place that are somewhat, even if subtly, making you feel like you're the odd one out, or you're just that's a weird way of thinking, or just like however you've experienced it, and this sometimes comes later, when you push through, you meet more people that are like you. And then you suddenly realize, okay, I've just not been, whether it's you've not been in the right environments, but here as well, there's not really right and wrong, because sometimes you get forged through the fire exactly through being singled out and having to walk a period alone, where then this gets amplified, this come as you are, because how can you show up as who you are if you haven't fucking spent a longer period of time with yourself? That's why isolation, or a part of an awakening, when you drift away from your friends or even family, that is part of you being forged and you learning to recognize who you are at the core. And that's as well where you are going to be fundamentally just on a different playing field than all those that need people around them 24/7, need to constantly be, have feedback, get the shit validated, and have, people praising them or whatever the fuck they need to feel like they're worthy of something. That's where you're going to stand out, because you get put on a path where you learn to validate yourself and not be dependent on other people. And it comes to the point where it doesn't even matter anymore whether it's praise or whether it's critique, it's all the same thing. And that's where that's something you can't, that's one thing that you cannot really perform or copy or pretend to be that way, because it's felt. That's an energy that you start embodying, but you will see it in those that have gone through the fire. And once you have, it will get even more clearer, like the gaps become even more clearer, where you will just simply not want to be around certain people, because you sense it. It doesn't even matter what they're saying, whether they're smiling or not smiling, you can just read the energy. But that is as well where that's where your gifts get fine-tuned. But not everyone makes it to that point, Some really do end up getting caught up in systems and structures where they just kind of get caged, and they just the signal gets diluted, and they just kind of surrender to that. They might, I don't know if anyone can really lose their fighting spirit if you have a fighting spirit, but some do get caught up in, I guess, structures, or even where then habits come to play, like substances, and where it kind of slowly can, I guess, kill your spirit. It's unfortunate, but it's a part of this as well, because it's not an easy path that you have chosen. If you've made it to this channel, and I'm reading for you because that's why you're here. So I guess you are, like, I don't really know if I have more to add here, because I do feel this is the point where I want to tell you to just check out my Patreon. You're going to get a lot of more information there. You're going to be part of a container where you really also have opportunities to get whatever conditioning may still be lingering, that you have opportunities to get that cleared. And then this energy of being confused, or still being kind of between two worlds, it's going to get clearer as to where you naturally, because what I'm hearing is, for you specifically, that this reading is truly for, there are certain seats that are reserved for you for a certain amount of time. It's as if you're getting the opportunity, and that's also why I pop up on your feed, because like I'm part of a trajectory that you're getting pulled into, even if it may be for a couple of months, it may be for longer, but that's how this type of work, especially work I offer, is set up. And when you are confused, you leak a lot of energy. So there's no shame in I guess getting professional help, even if it is just for a period of time, until your energy stabilizes, so that you're not swimming in the same ass loop for years on end, and then you fucking regret that you didn't do something beforehand when you did have opportunities. And that as well can contribute to where some just kind of fall off the bandwagon, and they don't fight anymore for the place that they can sense is reserved for them, because it's not easy. This journey is not easy. like when you build the way you are, and you have this deep inner knowing and understanding of what true original signals feel like, and you have that lingering within you, or you have it like as a, I guess, a mission, or like that is part of your core intention, that you get to show up exactly the way you are, with all your quirks and all your flaws, and without masks, basically. You're gonna, for one, stand out, and you're gonna have a lot of pushback, because you just automatically threaten everyone that is thriving off of performances and off of narratives that they tell themselves about who they are. And then they have structures in place where they get that mirrored back, whether it's through flying monkeys or whatever they build up, where they just get to sit on false thrones and get to reign on what they've built, and what it's been built on is ultimately what they've built on lies, on lying about who they are, lying about, like, they know deep down that's not the truth. But also there's no way out of that, because if you build an empire upon that and it starts, like, there's no way out. You have to ride the current. Worst case, it starts cracking, your mask starts slipping, people start noticing, and then it's already, it already starts crumbling. Best case scenario, you can keep it going until you croak. But this is all part of the era that we are in, where on a more grander scale, this is exactly what's happening, because the truth speakers and the truth seers are getting stronger as a class. Like, the current, or that consciousness is getting more amplified, and there's more place to roam, and that's where this energy came through of bursting out of cages, because you cannot be contained anymore. Some of you cannot be contained anymore, and others are like between these two worlds, where, that's what I'm saying, you may really be craving some assistance or container or facilitator who is forged and can hold these currents in a way where you can where it actively promotes your growth, and you pushing forward in a way where it feels less like, for one, you're in it alone, and secondly of all, where you get held accountable and responsible for your decisions and choices. Like, there's no coasting. You can't, also when you become a Patreon member, you can't just coast along. Like, if you're committed, you will get rewarded in the container itself. If you're just coasting along, it's just gonna be like, I don't know, maybe like entertainment or something, but you're not gonna really get out of it what you could. So I don't know if there's more needs to say here. I'm getting a sense that some are really coming out the other side here, where you're starting to attract exactly people that can match your current, and it's just starting to make sense why you had to go through what you've gone through, and why some couldn't meet you where you're at, and how you may have been attached to people, structures, institutions even, that could never support you in your becoming, because they're not forged that way, they're not built that way. But this is also where the internet is a beautiful thing, because you can connect with people across, you don't even have to meet them, but sometimes you do come across people, whether it's on the internet, whether it's on, traveling, or whatever you're doing, that remind you of who you are, especially moments where you start forgetting. Whether your spark, whether it's through yourself, whether it's through the environment, what we've just been talking about, whether it's through that got dimmed, and then I like to believe it never really gets dimmed to the point where you can't grow into a bigger fire again. But at the end of the day, constantly see as well where this sort of path gets just a bit too difficult, and then kind of fall off, maybe hop back on. I don't know, like everyone's individual, but what has come through here, like whatever spirit you have within you, there's always going to be part of you that's going to push for more, is what I'm seeing here. Even in moments you forget that you get like, you get wake-up calls, you get reminders. So you do seem to be the type that knows when you're committed to something. There's a part of you that doesn't allow you to just coast by, and I really would like to say that's why you get attracted to this channel and why you get pulled in by what I transmit. So definitely check out Patreon. I will see when I'm back here. We'll just see how I go. Bye.